I get up every morning, I go into my space, and I meditate for moments and just kind of reflect on what yesterday was, what today is, and then write down what I expect from myself. So that years later, when I'm older, and of course I say I'm not ever gonna get old, but when I'm older, I can kind of go back and remember my life. It's too often we just kind of let it go and fly, go quickly by us, and then you don't remember the moments that, changed your life. I've had too many not to remember. I think I can go back as far as 4, but I remember writing and my mom not thinking I was able to write because I was too young. But at 5, I started using writing as a way to kind of get away from what was going on as a child. At that time, we had some challenges with some folks, unfortunately, sexual abuse and physical abuse for somebody that my mom actually trusted in her life. And so that was my journaling became my way of telling, because once you tell one person and nobody listens, you just kind of feel like, okay, well, nobody's listening then, why would I tell anybody else? And it just kind of went on throughout my life until I got to around 11-ish, and I kind of stopped it myself. All of those things that happened kind of course, hurt me to a point where I didn't have any self-worth. And then at 11 and 12, you're just trying to look for love in all the wrong places.
In 8th grade, at the tender age of 14, Ada gave birth to a baby girl. 2 months later, she became pregnant with her second daughter.
I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where there's a lot of noise around you and you just kind of feel like you're in the center and nobody's listening. And so that's what I felt. I was pregnant. I can remember being pregnant, 7 months pregnant with my second child, and trying to express how I was feeling, the depression, lost, and nobody wanted to listen.
Depressed and hopeless with nowhere to turn, Ada attempted to end her life.
I woke up soaked and wet from just the sweat, from the perspiration, from just me taking all of those pills, and my daughter sitting up looking at me in tears like, you're not gonna wake up. But when I looked at the clock, I had been asleep for 12 hours. 12 hours. And I got up, walked around the house, nobody was home. It was just me, my daughter, and the one in my stomach. I don't know, it was just like this relief of, okay, you're here, there's a purpose, get it together. And I know it was God saying, don't you ever do that again. You understand? And so at that moment, I just kind of took control of my life. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have this baby. I'm going to get finished with school. I'm going to do whatever I can so that my kids never have to feel this.
With a newfound commitment to life and to her children, Ada returned to school and even found support she was lacking.
And I realized that once I started to get that, little push, and it felt like somebody cared, and they genuinely cared about my next steps and my greatness and my success, then I started to try and give it back to somebody else, because I just knew what it felt like not to have that.
After attending DeKalb College, Ada would later join the team at Regions. Now a branch manager for over 10 years, Ada has retained her focus on helping young people through the Youth Savings Bank program.
Youth Savings Bank is a hands-on approach to financial literacy. The bank is set up in South Atlanta High School here in Atlanta, and it gives students the opportunity not only to be trained on banking positions, but it gives them an opportunity to market this bank to their fellow classmates, and then for those classmates to be able to visit the bank on a weekly basis to make deposits. It's a way to encourage them to save, and it's also a way to build trust between the students, their parents, and the banks.
I go into the school and I sit with them once a week, and they have that program where the kids come during their lunch and they come in and make their deposits. And so I teach them about customer service. I teach them how to thank the customers for their business. I teach them how to write receipts out. All of those things that we do in the banking setting environment is done in the school environment.
But for Ada, helping people with their financial needs is just scratching the surface.
She likes to empower a lot of people. especially women. She has an organization called Something About Sisters that I am a part of, and I'm really glad that I'm a part of.
But I thought, what if it was a group of women that could get together to just kind of, if you're going through something, you can pick up the phone and call somebody out of that directory. You know, if there's a need for something, there's somebody in your sisterhood that can help you out.
I'm sure you guys have heard her story, and I think that's why it makes such a big difference, and she makes it her purpose, and she's intentional about, you know, taking that time whenever somebody needs her. It's rarely that I've heard her say no, not just for kids, but it's just for women in general. For so many things, just showing them how to be a great mother, for those ones who just don't, you know, just gets overwhelmed and don't know what to do and how to do. And just for the ones who just have low self-esteem, and just showing them how to pick themselves up and keep moving.
That's how I understand that I'm living in my purpose. That's how I know that God has put me where I need to be so that I can help somebody else. And when she calls me, I'm going. Like, if she calls me and say, I need you to come here because this is what I need you to do for me, if I'm not already booked with something else, I'm going. Because it's amazing to meet women who are already ready to get to their next level, but just don't know or just don't feel like they have that guidance or that love to get there.
She was one of those young girls that experienced, you know, abuse. And I think, like, with her, it was, she found the strength to overcome all that. And she let that empower her to keep pressing forward and keep pressing forward so she wouldn't be a statistic.
From a childhood steeped in adversity, Ada Gardner has emerged as a driving force in her community. By putting her wisdom and perspective to work for others, she remains a vital source of inspiration to anyone seeking her help.
For everything negative that happened to me in life, I believe that I need to, you know, rebirth those memories with something positive, or I need to, you know, give back. For everything that I get, I need to give back to somebody else. So if I make it, somebody else is gonna make it. I'm gonna pull you back up with me.